All right, so I'm not going to waste your time with this. The number one reason that you have social anxiety is because you haven't warmed up socially before going to do whatever you've got to do. Whether that's going to a party or, I don't know, someone's birthday or a night out or a work conference. If you do not warm up socially before, you're shooting yourself in the foot every time. You will never live up to your expectations and be as confident as you know you can be. So a lot of people don't even realize that it's possible to warm up socially or what that would even look like. But it's the exact same principle that you would apply to a workout. Like, I warm up before I lift weights in order to reduce the risk of injury, to have a more efficient workout, to get more for my time and just perform at my best level. And it's the exact same thing warming up before you go out. You do so in order to reduce your general anxiety levels, in order to feel a lot more comfortable in that environment and just be able to show off your natural and authentic self without the risk of like that anxious interference. I think when it comes to our social lives, we place too much pressure on ourselves to go from 0 to 100 in terms of the social expectation. Like, if I've been chilling at home all day, if I'd just been in my room all day, not talking to anyone apart from my family, and you suddenly teleported me into the middle of a party, do you really think I'm going to be at my most confident self there? Do you really think I'm going to be chatting to every single person, or I'm not just going to be staring at the floor the whole time, or have to think about 3 times as hard about what I'm going to say? That is actually kind of unreasonable. But that is the expectation we place upon ourselves. We think that going from this to this, we should somehow just be able to adapt to that and not feel anxious, even though that is a perfectly normal stress response that your body is producing in that situation. I think we often mislabel the problem and think social skills themselves are the constraint, that, when we speak to people, we don't know the right words to use, or, we're asking the wrong questions. Bro, if you're trembling every time someone looks at you, then social skills and asking the right questions isn't going to fix that. That is a problem of social anxiety. So let's just skip straight to the point. The way you warm up socially is through taking yourselves through a series of low stakes social interactions to start racking up a few wins before you actually arrive at the venue or wherever you're trying to go. To start working your way up in smaller increments like this, instead of just going from 0 to 100. The more you warm up, the more opportunities you give yourself to build that social flow, the lower your anxiety is going to be, and the more confident into that environment. So here's what we're going to do to start warming up. And don't get me wrong, I consider myself a very confident and outgoing person, but I also just acknowledge the fact that I'm introverted as fuck, and it doesn't always come easy for me. I can't just go from 0 to 100 like that. So everything I'm about to tell you, I still do this every single time. So the first thing we're going to do is literally just hear the sound of our own voice out loud. And I get that sounds a little bit weird, but if we think about the fact that we may have just been in our bedrooms all day, like I do a lot of home working on a Friday, and then I end up going out in the evening. I've not been talking to anyone all day. So ideally, I don't want my first time hearing my own voice all day to be when I'm greeting someone else. Because not only is it can kind of throw you off. It's like you're out of practice actually saying words. I don't know how to describe it. Not only that, you're also probably going to have an insane voice crack. So I'm saving you from the embarrassment of that. So what we're going to do is just start talking to ourselves out loud as we're walking down to this place. If you don't want to look like a weirdo, you can pull out your phone. You can either just phone up a friend or family member and just talk about something like kind of simple. Just have a conversation with someone you're already comfortable with. Or sometimes what I do if I don't want to bother anyone is I just pull out my phone and I'll have like a fake phone conversation, which is easier than you think. And most people can't tell the difference when they're looking at me. I'll just pull out my phone and just start describing the week I've been having up to that point. And often that's enough just to start building up that first little bit of momentum. Secondly, if we walk past a shop, we're going to go into that shop and we're going to buy something inexpensive. I usually buy like a pack of gum because I'm addicted to the stuff. And as soon as we get to the counter, we're going to try and start a little bit of back and forth with the shopkeeper. We're going to ask him 2 questions. how has your day been? Hopefully that gets a little conversation going. But if it doesn't, we're going to ask, have you had any interesting customers today? Usually one of those two questions is enough to get a little bit of something going back and forth between you. And again, just that's what I mean by a low stakes interaction. Realistically, you don't really care what this shopkeeper thinks of you. So he's an ideal person to just warm up and practice on. Again, I literally did this like earlier this week. I still do this every time. The third thing we're going to do, and this might feel like a bit of a step up compared to the other ones, but this will go a long way in helping you feel more confident when you actually arrive to the main venue. Imagine we're walking down the street, ideally in a somewhat busy location. We're just going to observe something we like about a random stranger that we can see and give them a compliment. Nothing weird. It doesn't have to be like a whole 5-minute conversation that you have with this person. Literally just think of one thing that you genuinely like about this person, go up to them and give them a simple compliment. Now, a lot of people seem to think that approaching a stranger without having like a real reason to do it is weird. And that's kind of what I'm trying to deprogram you out of thinking. Usually people who think that, they've either had like 1 or 2 bad experiences, or they just never even tried it in their lives, and for some reason they're like telling other people what to do, which is weird. I've done this hundreds of times, and if you get into a habit of it, and if you like sincerely mean the thing you're saying, 99% of the time this compliment is going to go down well. And there's actually something to this. It's like something to do with the exchange of positive energy. If you see that compliment goes down really well, you're just going to be like on top of the moon. I really don't know what it is. I think it's to do with the serotonin response from your brain. And we get kind of a similar response from things like volunteering and charity work. We just end up feeling like a lot more positive, and that's a great thing to carry with you on a night out. It's also going to get you used to just speaking to random people, which is only going to get easier if you're going out or you're in an environment where people are actually there to be social. That's always a really beneficial attitude to have. And the final thing I'm suggesting is for when you actually arrive at this venue. So a lot of the time, you are just going to have to grit your teeth and get the introductions out of the way. Usually the scenario for me is because I have a few friends which they seem to have like a list of 100 friends. So every time I go out with them, I'm meeting new people. So the expectation for me is that there's going to be people I don't know there, which is somewhat anxiety inducing. In those situations, what I'll do is I'll say hello to these new people. But if I'm not fully comfortable, if I'm not ready to just go straight into a big group discussion and have there be pressure on me to start contributing, what I'll do is I'll try and have some low-key conversation one-on-one with one of my friends. Literally just chatting shit, just doing like a general catch-up with one of my friends and getting to that final level of comfort, bridging that final gap until I can then eventually go and start talking to all these new people. Usually that is all it takes to bring my anxiety right down. All those 4 steps in combination is just going to have you feeling a lot more confident and allow your natural personality to really shine through. And again, I swear by this. I do this every single time I go out. I can 100% guarantee that it works. Even if you're going to skip 3 out of 4 and just do 1, that is going to give you something. That is going to give you such an advantage over other people. And to be honest, what other people will be doing is they'll just be relying on drinking. They'll just be trying to get drunk before they actually arrive. Like in this country, people will get drunk before they actually go to a party, and then they'll just drink more. Like somehow that is a socially acceptable thing when you can just save a lot more money and time by just going through this like short warm-up that I've just given you. So yeah, sorry, just a little random tangent there. But yeah, man, that's the video. Hope you got some value from this, and I will see you in the next one.